Hello, Secret Keepers. It is often said that you have one shot to make a first impression. Would you rather that impression be a whimper or a boom? Today's guest, Victor Shiu, co-founded the company Launch Boom, helping creative types navigate the crowdfunding journey and mastering modern marketing, enabling them to launch their campaigns with a boom. Where did he start? What inspired him to build this company? And what is the future for online crowdfunding? That and so much more on today's episode of the Megamoth Studios Super Secret Podcast. Shh. The master is speaking. Welcome back to the show, Secret Keepers. I'm your host, Menace to Homeowners Associations Everywhere, Joel Watts, joined as always by
Danny, back from the cold New England trip where I made a series of questionable decisions.
I can't wait to hear your girlfriend's side of the story. And our guest today, he's a bit of a meta guest because in a way he's the person behind the people who brought you botany, who brought you kelp to their, and help enabling them to their gargantuan success. This is Launch Boom's Victor Shiu. Victor, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, doing great. Oh my gosh. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks for having me so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you, Victor. And because today we're going to be talking to Victor about something that eludes all of the brightest amongst us, or I should say many of the brightest amongst us, and that's marketing in the digital landscape and why he founded Launch Boom. But before we get into that, we always like to start our episodes with a bit of fun, and that is the question of the week.
Oh boy.
Victor, you ready for this question?
I'm not sure, but yes.
You're not yet.
Let's do it.
Come on.
Good answer.
Good answer. All right, Victor. Pretty simple. We're all going to answer this one, just a kind of a little bit of an icebreaker. We thought this would be a good one for you. If you could make a documentary with adequate resources and access, what would the subject matter be?
Oh my. Okay, if I can make any documentary.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, if you wanted to say, you wanted to make a documentary about the moon and go there, you could do that on this question.
Oh man,
provide
you're
the
opening up like
resources.
a whole can of worms with that idea. I mean, okay,
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me would know that like I love animals. So it would be like something akin to like Planet Earth. Like we'll make Planet Earth 3. And then I could be like I could travel the world and like I guess they don't do that because they send the different crews to different places, but if I could, I'd be like, yes. Get me right next to that leopard. Let me see the flocks of like thousands of birds. I want to see that live.
That would be
and then
amazing
also,
if they would
maybe, we can get some space footage because it's about Earth. So that would be the dream. But they've already done it. So I don't know. Maybe I could do something different. But I mean, a nature documentary would be awesome.
Victor, there's a lot of Earth out there. I don't think they've covered everything quite yet.
There's a lot of Earth.
There's a
lot of Earth.
Yeah, there's still people searching for Sasquatch. I was just imagining in your answer, like if David Attenborough was actually there while filming and doing his narration live while they're getting the footage. I think that would make for a very funny, potentially funny sketch. It's definitely a funny image.
That would be crazy. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. All right. So Danny, you suggested this question. Did you have something preloaded and ready to go?
Well, I have a similar answer. I'd like to go all around the world to like the most extreme environments in the world and just see how you do surviving those situations. I think that would be like, for me, really, really, I'm into it. Like, I mean, we've talked a lot about sending you to Antarctica. I think,
Just to clarify for the audience, the you that Danny's saying is not the royal you of just like anybody. He's saying you as in me because he wants to send me to Antarctica to survive.
Yeah.
Victor, you're enabling him.
Is there precedent for having stretch goals where we send somebody to a volcano if they do well enough on a campaign? Like, is that a thing? Can we send him into the inferno? Is that?
Yeah, let's do it.
Against
let's
terms
definitely
and
let's add that as a stretch goal. Let's get let's get a bunch of backers and even do some social goals around it. I'm down. I'll throw in money. I'll throw in money to see Joel go to Antarctica and also a volcano.
I'm into
Hey,
it.
it's like a free. Hey, we're paying you to go on a vacation. That's like a. People pay thousands of dollars to get you to go to Antarctica and to go see volcanoes. So you're
Yeah.
getting paid to go see this.
I mean,
Send
I've
me
always said
instead.
that
I'll take it. I'll do it.
if there's a camera crew with me, I'll do almost anything. And I would be
counting
excited
on
to go to these places, especially the volcano. I think I can handle the heat really well. I'm a little nervous being a Texas boy. I'm a little nervous about getting to Antarctica and realizing that I don't have like the whatever spirit I need to survive those colds. But I mean, yeah, I think that would be so much fun if when we go to launch to have a few fun stretch goals like that. I kind of want to keep them a little more local, but what's the excitement in that? I would say like go to the Grand Canyon, but everybody's been to the Grand Canyon except for me. So I think that, I don't know. I think there's something there. And I would love to have Danny by my side. If I'm going to the volcano, Danny, you got to be there suffering the heat with me.
Yeah, I'll send an avatar, like some sort of hologram.
Yeah.
You're going to
Into
Tony
the
Stark
caldera.
me? Oh, gosh.
What about you, Joel? What are you making a documentary about?
That's such a good question because I hadn't really put any thought to this, and you just pitched it right before the show, so I hadn't gotten a really great chance to think through it. I mean, like, I guess my inner indoor kids says that I would probably just want to keep it like, historical, something where the resources are being used in recreating footage, whether it be with actors or at animation. And so, and I've been doing research on this for a potential future episode. Stay tuned. But I would say, something like, retelling the story of the Bone Wars in, theatrical, like I said, good recreations, like, something that you would like a higher budget than what you'd see on the History Channel. I think that would be really fun, especially if it's how the History Channel would do their recreations, reenactments, I should say. If it's just a little campy, a little off, like you can tell that the mustaches aren't real. I think that would like kind of align with my my feelings or my aesthetic. But
So
yeah,
make it
More
like
money
a-
spent, but less on the.
You should make it like an epic. Like it's not just a It's like not a documentary. It's like a TV show series. It's like Game of Thrones, but it's historical.
yeah.
Ooh.
That'll be epic.
If I could do like just the entirety of history, that style, that would be amazing. The history is just is just scattered. It's like it's so hard to tell the story of history because where do you start? You can easily keep going back and back. You have to like decide. Okay, I'm going to start with this person's birth or something like that. It would be so amazing if you could just start at the very beginning and cover everything. That would be like multiple lifetimes work of worth, though.
That'll be a lot of work. Do you guys listen to Hardcore History with Dan
Sure
Carlin?
do. Sure
Oh
do.
my gosh, love Dan Carlin. So good.
I know. What's your favorite one?
Still Wrath of Khans.
Yes, Wrath of
Wrath of
Khans.
Khans
It's the best.
is
It's the best.
It's so good. It's so good. I re-listened to it. It's long. Like all that stuff is so long, but I re-listened to that. I purchased it. I'm like, this is so good.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. And yeah, Wrath of Khans is my absolute favorite for sure. I
Nice.
liked King of Kings as well because I like Assyrians and ancient Persia and the like, but nothing tops the Mongol Empire. I mean, that was
Yeah.
amazing.
I think my favorite is the one on medieval torture, just like kind of like that overview he gave of public executions.
Pain for Tainment or something like that. I don't remember. It was a good one.
Yeah. No, that was really solid. And yeah, I mean, like just bringing a hardcore history to life, like turning it from an audio experience to a visual experience. That could be a wonderful docuseries right there. And he already has like each episode or each subject matter he goes into could practically be its own season of television. Like, wasn't the World War I series like over 12 hours long put together?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Did you hear he did that VR experience for World War One?
Oh,
He
really?
like produced a VR experience. Yeah, it's supposed
That's
to be pretty
super cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to try to track that down.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure we could spin this off into infinite amounts of ideas, especially, considering how infinite history is in storytelling. But we probably should move on to the next little section of our podcast here. But first, I wanted to ask if you could, people at home, don't keep your answers a secret. Let us know in the comments what you would do if you could make a documentary with limitless amounts of resources. What subject matters, where would you go, what would you film? And if we, oh, sorry, I got a little something special here from Danny, because he says that if we hit 100 subscribers before we launch our Kickstarter, I have agreed to walk 500 miles for each subscriber.
For each subscriber, yeah. And,
da indeed, Danny.
Yeah.
Da indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
without shoes or moccasins. Into a volcano.
And I'll walk that.
Antarctica.
Yeah, I'll walk across Antarctica to get to the volcano. All right. So that's what we would do with making a documentary. But let's talk about making a company here with Victor. So, Victor, thank you so much again for joining us on today's podcast. We'd like to get to know you a little bit better, not only through the question of the week, but we always like to start our interviews with your gaming origin story. We're game makers here. I believe you're a game player. I think, if I know correctly, you were very interested in getting Launch Boom started for the gamers or the game makers out there. So I'd like to find out, Victor, did you come from a gaming family?
No.
Oh.
I don't think. Yeah, no. My family. My family came from China. Like, they're like we're immigrants. I'm like first generation American. So board games was like not a thing. I learned about board games in school. With classics, Monopoly, Life, that are really not that great. And then honestly, I got bored of them pretty quickly. I got Risk. And then instead of playing Risk, because then it doesn't come with instructions for some reason, there's no rule book. I just made my own rules and just started playing. Yeah, I literally made my own rules to play with my brother. I'd be like,
oh, cool.
You roll the dice, you do this thing. Didn't really know how to play a lot. Like I think a few people would teach me how to play with some of these games. I always enjoyed games. I always enjoyed board games, video games. Well, my cousins will always play video games, and I just have to watch them because they were older than me. But that's a whole different story. But yeah, I think always loved them, but it wasn't. I think in middle school, I had a teacher start like a strategy game club, and I'm like, cool, let's do that. And that's where he introduced me to Catan and Cosmic Encounter. Those are like the two games he kind of brought in as like entry level games for us. And I was addicted. I was like, let's do this every day. Loved both games. And then they disappeared off the map. I'm like, I don't even know where to find them. Because then after that, I was just like, I don't know. Like, it kind of just disappeared. In middle school, there was also another teacher that was bringing in all his Warhammer stuff. I didn't know what they were, but then StarCraft was really popular at that time. And so I'm like, I think it was Warhammer 3000. And so, so he had a full build in his classroom and everything. And then there's some other kids that were bringing in their Warhammer stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? This looks awesome. No idea what it was. Never got any context on it. And then pretty much fast forward, I had no it was just nothingness. It was empty, void, until pretty much college. And that's where everything kind of came back. It was like, oh, wait, I know Catan. Oh, wait, I know this game. Wait, there's more games? Wait, there's a whole, world of this. And that's where I think I started to play a lot more. I made a lot of friends there. I had a roommate who we became roommates after college. But he essentially it was a housemate. So then he basically had one of in our living room, our entire wall, from floor to ceiling, stacked with games. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So every night we would play a game or two. And he had he just basically had everything. So we would just play games.
Oh wow.
At least every week, if not every other night. But there were so many different games. But in the end, because we always had people over and everyone just wanted to play Cards Against Humanity, I got so tired of Cards Against Humanity. I'm so sick of it.
Fate worse than death.
I'm like, can we play something else? Can we play that other game here? I don't even remember the names. He had we had so many different things up there. And then I also had other friends that would invite me over to play other games too. Like Spirit Island was one of my favorite ones that I
nice.
played like consistently. Destroyed in Agricola. Could never get that one down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Shink likes that one.
Yeah. We definitely have we've heard word of that one through our friend Shank Pig. And yeah, that sounded amazing. It sounded like almost like, the indie kids. Was it Catan? Like, oh, you like Catan? Well, I like something a little even, a
So,
little more
yeah.
near.
I like this one more. So
Yeah.
that was where I just got like really introduced to like the larger world of board games through all my friends who had a bunch of them, and that was kind of where I just continued to have that interest in it, but I mean you need a lot of space, a lot of storage space to have a lot of games, so I don't have
You need a lot
that
of
many
table
games.
space to play games too. It's like one issue I've been running into recently is I don't have a dining room table anymore, and I'm actually in the market for one because I could just have one right here to invite people over to play games. But if I don't have that, it's like we have to go and meet at my local game store, which has its benefits for sure. Like,
Yeah.
showing up with your own game and at a local game store is practically advertisements. But it's still like, it would be nice to have the table again so I could set up Catan at my own house.
Yeah, that dining table problem is pretty rough. So I just we have a small dining table, and we just got botany in, so like it actually delivered, and so I played that with my family, and we're setting up the board and all the player boards, and we're like, it doesn't fit. Like that's how small my table is. We're struggling to fit that in there. So whenever I backed Monster Hunter. Iceborne, and I'm just thinking about, I'm like, I don't think I could ever play that in my house because I'm pretty sure the miniatures are the size of my table. So I can't
Max amateurs, if
do that.
anything.
Yeah, I also remember, I think I bought Eldritch Horror way back when, and we had played that. We had to play it on the floor, and at that time, it was such a long campaign that we had to just leave it on the floor to go to bed and next day kind of continue and finish that off.
Sounds like.
And I think we lost. So we're like, that was rough. And
That reminds me of back in the day.
we never opened it again because it was just
Yeah.
like we don't have the time for this.
12 hours to lose is, it's such a rough, it's like you're only going to play through this game once. You should probably, anyways. That reminds me though of like back in the day, I, would rent games, back in the Sega Genesis days. And I remember keeping the game on and the TV off overnight just so I could like pick up where I left off. Cause I didn't have any save and there was no way to save. I don't think some games didn't have like a password system to get back up to where you were. So all you could do is like beat it in one playthrough. And, so yeah, I definitely feel you there with keeping things out. But also that game, Eldritch Horror, that almost like reminds me of like Twilight Imperium style lengths,
Yeah.
like 8+ hour games. Wow. Well, you're definitely dyed in the wool. And like if you're playing a game on the floor, you must have been in your early 20s if you're playing a game on the floor for multiple hours. I just showed people how to play my game. Their dining room table was cluttered because they were doing renovations in their house, painting the walls and the such. And so we just had to sit on the floor and I had to teach them. And I'm 37 years old and just sitting down on a hardwood floor just wrecked me, just 20 minutes on the floor. And I was like, oh my God, please. I don't think I'm going to be feeling this tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that again. That was definitely in my like mid-20s when we did that, and that was a trip.
Yeah. Nice. So you went to school, you learned gaming in school, but I doubt you went to school for gaming. I saw in your background that you had a production history. Am I to assume that you went to school to learn how to be a filmmaker?
Yes, that is what I went to school for. So I went to UCSD. They did not. They currently don't have a film major. They have something called a visual arts major with an emphasis in film, and that's what I studied.
Okay.
But it was definitely to make movies, make films.
Nice.
That was like the dream. That was the idea going into the school. I was making videos in high school, loved it, fell in love with it, got addicted, and thought I was pretty good. So I mean, I enjoyed it. People liked the videos for the most part that I made, and then so I was like, let's do this. So I went to school for it, continue to make videos there, and that's actually how I got into Kickstarter. So one fun thing about, I mean, you guys might know this because you guys are in the industry. One fun thing about being in the film industry and studying film as a major is that you don't leave college with a job.
No, you don't.
There's
It's
no
just the funnest.
Yeah, there's no place
Still
where you'd
looking
be
for
like,
it.
"Hi, film major, give me a job in film." It's like no, it's like I knew like halfway into college that was not going to happen, and so I knew I had to start doing like developing a portfolio, getting contract work, essentially being a forced entrepreneur, forced freelance contractor from the beginning. And all my peers, all my classmates also knew that, so that we were always like trying to help each other out, like sharing stuff like that. And one of the first projects I had coming out of college was a Kickstarter video. So it was a Kickstarter video for a friend, and this is kind of the founding story of like Launch Boom, because it was me with our co-founders just essentially hodgepodging our way through how to get the Kickstarter video done, get the campaign video done, the Kickstarter video, the campaign page done, get like work out some marketing strategies, and all that stuff, along with the creator. He did a lot of good work. At that time, you didn't really need to run too many ads. You could just do a lot of press. So he would just email, like, he had a huge list of reporters and press people that he would just email, go down a list and email and try to get them for certain launch dates. We made I watched a ton of Kickstarter videos, like reverse engineered them, applied what I knew about film into that, and crafted like a pretty good video from that. And funny story with that one, we learned our first lessons just from this one video. When we sent that out just to his friends, just to like his networks, we had okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. The product was a aquaponics aquarium. Ooh. It was one of the first ones on Kickstarter. Actually, it was like it was not something that was common. Like nowadays, you're like aquaponics, it's everywhere. Hydroponics everywhere. So at this time, it was like 2013, I think. Aquaponics was just starting to, like, hydroponics was just starting to rise. Aquaponics was a new concept. A few farms were doing it.
Is that with the fish in it?
Yeah, so just to explain, hydroponics is growing plants with just water without soil. Aquaponics is, it's like growing like, herbs and stuff, like vegetables. Aquaponics is to combine that process with fish. So the fish poop becomes the fertilizer for the plants to grow. The plants take that and then cleans the water and then filters it so the fish can continue to live. So you essentially have a ecosystem that balances it out so the fish can keep going.
Sounds a little bit like biodiversity.
Yeah, it's like you're essentially creating, like you're trying to recreate what nature kind of naturally does. Yeah. So plants will filter out the nitrates. It's the full nitrogen cycle. Plants will filter out the nitrates from the soil. Animals eat the plants, poop, and then it goes back. That turns into ammonia, which turns, and then it goes through. So his whole thing was an aquarium, because he was selling fish. That was like primarily aquarium, but then we'll have a plant on top to clean the aquarium. That will act as the filter. And the first video we made focused a lot on like the story, like the founder story, like the why, because this was like Simon Sinek, like start with the why kind of situation. Like that was like really popular. Like let's start with the why. Like why are we doing this? Like let's start on the mission and the vision for all this. Like how aquaponics and hydroponics can really change the world and really be like the future of like growing plants and just making all of this so much more affordable and amazing for the planet. Shared it with a bunch of friends. Everyone's like, wow, that's so cool. I'll share it with my friends. And we're like, cool. But will you buy it? Like are you gonna buy the product? And they're like, I don't think it's for me. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just like we'll share with friends. It's a cool concept. I think like I definitely support the cause, but
Yeah.
I'm just gonna share it. Like, I'm not gonna put any money down. And we're like,
Can
okay,
I,
this is a problem.
Just for context, how much was what was the buy-in rate on
It was
price?
about it's about 79, if I remember.
Oh, that's not
That's not
bad.
bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
not
imagining
bad
you
at
saying
all.
like 700. So
Yeah, so it was like a small little thing. It was like a beta tank, like the Siamese fighter fish. And so we're like, not really. And we're like, okay, we need to fix that. So we changed the structure up to, instead of focus on the why and the story, we started with just the what. We're like, what is this thing? What's the product? We really focused it, instead on the founder, we focused it on the product, and basically sold it like, this is awesome. Like, okay, here's a fish tank that cleans itself. You have the fish, it's pretty, you're bringing nature into your home, and you don't need to worry about it. You put in water, you put in the fish, you put in the plant, and you just set and forgets. And then that was like, people were like, oh gosh, I really want this right now. Here's my money. And that was like lesson number 1, focus on product. So that was like, and then we have been telling that again and again and again for the last, whatever, like 10, 15 years, however long we've been doing this, because it's it's a constant mistake that creators make when it comes down to marketing their product. They focus so much on the story and all of that, instead of focusing on the product when they're telling in the video, on the page, in their marketing in general. So that was the first thing that we did. That was how we got into Kickstarter, and that was like a year out of college, and that was kind of the starting point. That was like the starting point, the seed that planted the idea for Launch Boom.
yeah, I really like that because like you come out of college, especially film school, like you said, you come out without a real job from film school. I mean, an analogy I thought of while you said that was, imagine like everybody on the film school is getting on a plane that's going into the air, and then everybody has to jump out of the plane, and there's like a raffle to get the parachutes, or you have to schmooze your way into getting the parachutes.
Yeah, accurate.
Yeah, but no, but that shows like your resourcefulness is like, okay, I've done a film project, but it was part of this bigger thing, and I think this bigger thing is actually what's calling me. So how long between that first Kickstarter and founding Launch Boom, or what was the pathway like from that first Kickstarter video to founding this marketing company?
Yeah, when did I always get this timeline wrong. I think we started Launch Boom in 2015. That sounds about right. I think it was about 2015. So it took a few years, and we were doing so many different random stuff. We had started, so the company was called Label Creative, and we were doing a bunch of stuff. We were helping build YouTube channels. So there was like one of our primary clients was like this health person. So we helped him build his like YouTube, his Facebook page and his YouTube and stuff, making consistent videos for him. We were doing like random videos off the side. We were making websites for random people, and it was just all a hodgepodge of like, we'll do everything and anything. Just so we can like pay rent, essentially.
Yeah.
It was barely paying rent. It was like rent and beer. Those were like the staples.
The two most important things in life.
What kind of beer?
Rent and beer. I think at that time I was drinking Red Trolley, but then as it was
Okay.
yeah. We'll skip that detail a little bit more. But
That'll be
that
for
was
After Dark.
after dark times. That sounds so wrong. Yeah, that was we were doing a lot of different things, and I think our CEO, I think he was our CEO, one of my business partners, Mark, who is the CEO of Launch Room now. He had read a book called Built to Sell, and it's a book that talks about like how do you build a company that is sellable. But even that, beyond that, it's like not just thinking about how can you build a company that's sellable, but then something where it's scalable and sustainable, and where you are essentially happy with having the business, rather than being kind of the one guy that just keeps everything together. Because we were definitely feeling the pressure of that. We were also like, every co-founder was so siloed from each other. And we were just stretching in every single direction with zero focus. And on top of that, we were barely we were barely making enough money to pay ourselves anything. And we were running into, like, we were getting burned out, we were getting really tired. And so this was really more about how do you build a good company? How do you build a scalable company? And the first thing you do is you focus. So like essentially building something that is more systematized, something that really focuses. You say, like, for everything you say yes to, you're saying no to a lot of different things. If you say no to something, you say no to most things, and you focus on the one thing you're saying yes to, then you can actually master that one yes. And so we brainstormed, we like got together, we thought, like, what do we like the most? Like, of all the things that we're doing, what's the thing that we enjoyed the most, that we were like most passionate about? And we thought back to the EcoCube. That was the name of the product. That was the aquaponics thing. And also, like, after the EcoCube, we actually launched another crowdfunding project called 1 Hour Break. And that was a lot of fun too. It was the same, like, we made a video, we did the campaign stuff, we did some marketing stuff, and they raised about $100,000. And that we were stoked. It was amazing. We were like, we really enjoyed working with, like, Kevin and Vu. We really enjoyed working with these creators. We loved that we were able to express our full creativity in it, and also just combine all facets of our expertise. Like I can go in with my video expertise. Like Mark can come in with his his web design kind of expertise. Mike could come in with his technology expertise. We could really combine all of that together, and create something really awesome and help someone that really needed the help. It wasn't like a big corporation. It was this creator that also wanted to start a company from grassroots, using just kind of their savings to be like, hey, I have this dream, I want to make it a reality. And we made it a reality. And then they made it. They're here. They have a physical product. It's awesome. And so we're like, let's focus on that. And on top of that, it was just win-win situation where if we did a good job, they skyrocket, they had success. And if they have success, then we win more as well because of the social proof that is Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And so we're like, that is what we want to do. That sounds awesome. We get to help people that we like. We get to help these small time creators like really turn their dreams into reality, and we get to get paid doing it. And like, they win, we win. It's just like a full, this is trifecta. This is exactly what we want to do. And so we shut down all the other accounts. We're like, hey guys, we're closing this. We're not doing this anymore. And we just went all in on Kickstarter.
Wow. I mean, that makes total sense though. It's like, once you find that thing that actually like kind of brings like pride and like you're an expert at, I forget the term, but I think it's a Japanese term where it's like, there's 4 quadrants of,
Ichigai?
like something. Ichigai.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Ichigai.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you found your Ichigai through through helping people navigate Kickstarter, and that's what got you to Launch Boom.
Yeah.
Was there a
100%.
moment with Launch Boom where, I mean, obviously it's scary starting a new business and you're like, okay, we did it, but now we got to keep getting to this point where we have a large enough customer base where this is a sustainable, do you remember that feeling like, okay, I feel like we have a business that has legs here beyond just that first customer? Like, okay, we can keep doing this. This is repeatable.
Yeah. It's a journey. It was a journey. It's a long journey.
Still is, right?
It was definitely like, yeah, this is the right direction. And then it was like, oh gosh, the right direction is also hard. And it's like, this is great. And then, oh my gosh, there is so much mud to sort through. Yeah. Okay, so when we decided to do this, we had gone out and we're like, okay, let's build a package. Let's do this. We signed our first client, and one of the advisors for that client was also an advisor for EcoCube. He saw this thing and he's like, this is awesome. Let's double down. Let's actually turn this into I'm going to develop a business model for you, but then sign me in as a partner. And so that is how we found Will, our president. So that was Will Ford. He's one of our co-founders, and he's the one that actually thought of the name Launch Boom. He's like, I got the name. It's Launch Boom. We're like, that is a much better name than what we currently have. So that is, yeah. So, but he within the first 3 months of bringing him in and then focusing on crowdfunding, we made more money than we made in the last 3 years as just a random, like a digital marketing agency, essentially a creative agency. And we're like, okay, cool, this is the right path. Like this is definitely the right way to go. Our first few launches went really well. So we launched the successor to the EcoCube, the EcoCube C. We launched a few other products with Kevin there. And then we also launched the Giver gloves. So it's this guy named Bubba. He lived in Jackson Hole. He was an airport baggage handler in Jackson Hole, and he had made these gloves that would keep you warm because he's always outside in Jackson Hole where it's freezing cold. They were super durable. They look really cool because they were leather, and you can like take them out snowboarding after you're working hard with them. So they're like work and play gloves that look really cool because they're all like cowhide leather. And then he waxes them to make them waterproof and all this other stuff. And he's making this, in his garage. He's like, I really think this would be really good. And I was like, this is sick. We helped him launch with our system and raised, I think, was it 200K or 300K? I don't remember. It was a lot of money. It was enough money for him to kickstart his business, get it going. I do believe he quit his job because now he was like full-time making gloves, and it really took his brand Giver off the charts. And now he's like a hero in Jackson Hole because like he's like this success story of this entrepreneur. The Giver gloves are sold in REI and Huckberry. They're like in stores and stuff.
Awesome.
Like they're people love them.
I'll be taking those to Antarctica. I'm looking at them right now.
Take those to Antarctica to get his mittens. We launched his mittens afterwards, and that raised over $1 million. So that was great. But then it was like that story was like, he bet his farm on us. He was like, this is my life savings. Please help me out. And then we took that and then turned his business, really brought his business to life. And so we're like, wow, we're really on a good track here. This is really working. And then we ran into a few issues.
Do tell.
So, everything's great and gravy. And then we started getting a few clients that had kind of questionable products in terms of their marketability. And at this time, we were just like, okay, let's just try to see how we can launch this. Let's do the pre-launch. Let's try to figure this out. And we hadn't developed the reservation funnel at this rate. We were just basically doing what pretty much every Kickstarter agency, every crowdfunding agency still does to this day. We collect emails. You pay Facebook. Facebook takes that payment, sends your ads to a bunch of people. Those people then go to your landing page. Some of those people go to your landing page and they give you an email. And then you're just hoping that when you launch, that email converts and then people buy. And so we were running into a few clients where one, we're like, okay, let's just see how many emails we can get. And one, we were running to a few clients where those emails were just not flowing in. People did not want this product. And then two, there were a few clients where we did get a lot of emails for really cheap, but when we launched, nothing. Like just no conversions, crickets, absolutely nothing. All the emails we collected were essentially trash. And that felt really bad. That was like really bad because they're spending thousands of dollars on ads for this. We're also an agency at this time, so they're paying for our time, which is really expensive. We have to, agencies are pretty expensive. And so they're paying us, they're paying, for ads, and it's essentially just all sunk down the drain. So there was that problem, and then there was also the problem of, sometimes we would sign clients and, with the hopes that, we believe in your product or, we hope like this product would do well, but we throw out the ads and no one's responding to them. There's like essentially a low marketability of that product. And so we would try different ways to re-angle it, but then the reality of the situation is there's a strong possibility that, people might not want your product or that, your product isn't a good fit for crowdfunding. And so we had to struggle with those two realities. How do we measure purchase intents in pre-launch so that way we're not wasting ad spend? And then also, how do we test for market viability during this time so that people aren't wasting money on ad spend and essentially just putting it down the drain to launch it to fizzle. So answer to both of these questions was essentially a dollar reservation funnel. And this was something that we came across as one of our employees was just was kind of browsing through like the internet, and she ran across a Kickstarter campaign, like a pre-launch campaign. She was like, ooh, this looks cool. She clicked it. It was like for a gaming table. One of those like I don't even remember the name of it. But then they actually asked. They're like, hey, email after that. They're like, hey, can you put down $1? We'll give you the lowest price for this table. And we're like, whoa, that is interesting. Let's see if we can adopt it to work, because like this is kind of genius, because by asking for $1, it's a low commitment, but it shows purchase intent. If someone puts down $1, they're actually willing to pull out their credit card to say, hey, I'm actually really interested in this. And it kind of goes back to like the thing that we had with the EcoCube, where it's like, okay, cool, like, you like it? Yeah, I like it. I'm going to share it with my friends. Here's my email, da. But it's like, okay, but will you buy it? And they're like, actually, I changed my mind. With this, it's like, hey, okay, but are you going to buy it? They're like, yeah, 100%. Here, here's $1. I'll give you $1 just so you know that I'm willing to buy it right now. And so that showed us purchase intent. And when we're able to run ads for purchase intent, we can then figure out whether or not this product is actually like viable for the market. And so we started doing this thing where instead of like, there are a lot of products where you might think it does really well and it does very poorly, and there are products where you think will do very poorly and it completely crushes it. And so now we have an ability to test for market viability. Just be like, hey, this product actually looks like it's crushing it, and we can measure purchase intent. And then with that, we can basically see like people can, our clients can essentially figure out before they launch whether or not there is enough demand for their game for them to crowdfund this, or whether or not they need to pivot, whether it's pivoting with something with their product, or pivoting with how they're approaching their go-to-market strategy, or pivoting with just, trying to, completely shift gears to be like, hey, maybe I should shelve this idea for now and work on something else. And so this was something that we could offer now, and it was a game changer for us. So like that, I think that was like, we were struggling for a long time, and when we launched that was something that kind of changed the game for us, where we were able to create that level of certainty for our clients, and that level of certainty allowed us to essentially scale a lot better.
I wanted to ask, because just circling back, you had mentioned, encountering some products that maybe didn't have great market viability. At this point, how do you evaluate a product for market viability? If I'm at home and I have an idea, I think maybe crowdfunding is right for me, I'm not sure. What are some of the questions that people should be asking themselves to evaluate, hey, this is a great product for crowdfunding, versus maybe you need to find another direction?
Yeah. The first thing, it's a tough question, because there's a lot of stuff that we would want to check in terms of like, okay, from our experience, like, does this look like something that would do well? I think the first thing to check is to actually ask if someone would buy your product. Like if you had a concept, like you can, instead of asking, do you like it? This is like, people are always going to say like yes if they don't want to hurt your feelings. Yeah. And the other thing to ask is like, okay, how much would you pay for it? And that's like a big question, because it's like, okay, now you're talking about money, and money is kind of emotional. It's like, okay, like, I do that. It's like, okay, and then that's only going to take you so far, because they're talking out of their mouths. Like they're not really putting money down. They're just kind of giving that gauge. But that is a good question to ask. Like, let's bring it back to games. Instead of just overall products. Like with the game, you may be playtesting, like you're bringing this to cons or you're going to playtesting groups, and they're like, hey, this was a fun game, this was great. Then you bring out your box design. You bring in your box, you show the like a size, and it doesn't need to be like, you don't have to have the box made. I think I have a friend, also a client, who took a box from another game, pasted his thing over it. Trevor, you guys know Trevor. Man. Yeah, Trevor did that with Pantheon. So he did that, and he's like, okay, what would you pay for this? And I think that's a good question, because like now it basically asks, like, okay, would you buy it, and how much would you pay for it? Instead of just saying like, is this fun, you can actually see if this is something where these guys, like, like, are the people playing this, are they just saying, like, they may have had fun, but then is this something they're actually willing to put money down for? And that's where you really need to think about how you're skinning the game. So your theme, your art, how you're positioning that, and then even like bringing out the box and showing that, like, was that box art, was that communicating? How big is it even? Because like the size is like, okay, how much will you pay for it? Trevor found that when he put it on like a codenamed size box, people were like, oh, I'll give you like $30. Then he upgraded the size of the box to like a Splendor size box. Oh, $40. Then he took like a Wings and Spies box. It's like, oh yeah, $50, $60. And you're like, okay, box size matters. But like the questions like that will help give you an initial gauge. It's just an initial gauge of kind of like, are people going to buy this right now? Are people like really putting down the money? But in the end, this is just words. Words are cheap. The best way to do this is to essentially start running the way we do it. We run Facebook ads to a landing page to collect the email, and then after that, ask for $1. And based on those results, because now it's on Facebook and Instagram, it's anonymous. There's no like face-to-face, like, I'm going to hurt your feelings. I still want to be in good connection and relationship with you right now. So I'm not going to say, hey, I'm never going to buy your game because of X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm not going to tell that to you. Like, a lot of people aren't going to do that unless you have someone who's like really okay with being that upfront with you. So that's also another thing to check. But with Facebook and Instagram, it's an actual ad, so it's completely anonymous. They could choose to click it or not click it. If they click it, they land on a page. Are they going to show that interest to give you that email? And beyond that, is there enough interest for them to put down $1? And if you are getting a high efficiency of that, where the amount that you're spending to put that ad is giving you a good return on the dollar, on like that purchase intent, then we have a good idea of essentially that there is market viability here. That there's strong purchase intent. And we can also measure how strong that purchase intent is so that we can essentially predict what your return on ad spend might be, what your return on investment might look like, and essentially how much you can expect your game to, like how much you can expect that the explosiveness of your campaign, but then also how you can scale when your campaign is live. And along with that, if you see that efficiency ratio is really off, then that's where you might need to reconsider, like depending on how off it is, you might need to reconsider either shifting the way that you're approaching your marketing or shifting the approach, the way that you're approaching, or shifting your product itself, the game itself, because it might be possible at that rate that there's low viability. And so that's just something to consider. There's never a strong answer because a lot of this is like there's a lot of different reasons. And maybe it's just the arts. Maybe it's not the game itself. Maybe it's just the arts. Maybe it's the theme. But maybe it could be just the whole game. And then the other thing is like maybe it's just the way that you're talking about the game too. And so there's all these things that you can try it out. But in the end, looking at that ratio, it gives you a lot more clarity or just a lot more data to create these hypotheses and gives you a direction to kind of head in.
Yeah.
So that was a long way to answer your question. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think you kind of covered two of our the things we wanted to talk about, right, all there in one. But a few things that came to mind is, yes, if you run Facebook ads, people will be very brutally honest with you. We're experiencing that right now. So if you want to know how people really feel about your product, run Facebook ads. That is number one. And you have to get that feedback in order to make adjustments. And B, I completely agree with the idea of how are you positioning, how are you showing off? We're right now really excited because, as I said, we have the prototype of our game here, and we've taken pictures of the cards, like our editor Will and his wife Annie, who runs our social media. Annie does. They've taken pictures of the cards, videos with the cards, and we feel like it's a much more. Our theory right now is people see real cards in hands. That's going to make them feel like I can invest in this because it's actually a thing, versus before it was all digital files. And they look great. They're still the same beautiful art, still beautiful, same beautiful graphic design, but just the idea of like, oh yeah, but that could not exist. It could be just, vaporwave or whatever, vaporware. So yeah, I think there's a lot that goes into that, but yeah, I think, there's an honesty to marketing that like you're talking about, that you either have to figure out how to rebrand or repackage what you're selling, or you have to question if what you're selling is even something people want and will make a return on its investment.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the opposite also rings true for, because like social media is really brutal.
Yeah.
Ads, like putting
Tell
yourself
me.
out there is very brutal. Like it's like, it's really bold. Like I respect every creator that has gone through a process and put themselves out there. Like I'm currently in the process of developing my own game as well. And it's a lot of work. There's a lot of investment in the art. There's a lot of investment in developing the game itself, the mechanics, play testing it, tweaking it, going through the art direction, getting the licenses, working with like illustrators and artists and designers. There's a lot of money, there's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort, and then for all of that to kind of go and you put it out there and have people go and just like completely crap on it, you're like, it hurts.
Yes. I feel like we brought you on to talk about Launch Boom, but now I want to we could have an entire other episode about you talking about your game creation process.
Yeah.
That's what we usually bring people on to talk about. But I guess, I mean, let's not completely cannibalize that potential episode in the future. We would love to talk to you in depth about it, but can you give us a quick, let's just do a quick, elevator pitch for your game so the people at home can wrap their minds around it.
Yeah, my game is a brutal game of battling hummingbirds. You play as male hummingbirds battling each other for nectar and energy, so you can go ahead and find a mate. You're thirsty for nectar, you're thirsty for a mate.
Thirsty birds.
Thirsty birds. So
What's it
yeah,
called?
this is so fun fact about hummingbirds. Everyone thinks hummingbirds are these like beautiful, like jeweled, like they're like, oh, they're so pretty and tiny. If you ever have a hummingbird feeder, you will know that hummingbirds are the most aggressive and brutal birds in existence. They will attack each other, stab each other, poke each other, throw each other off things. They will chase each other down, and they will go full aggro, and it's awesome. we have a ton of feeders in our apartment complex area. Like a lot of people like it, and then so we got a lot of hummingbirds, and we always see like hummingbird fights, just like
Oh my
they
God.
look, and they're like chasing each other full speed, like 30, 40 miles per hour, like super fast. Like sometimes they get up to you and they just like go right around you. Insane. And I'm like, you know what? That will make a good game. So I made a game off of it. That is the premise of it. But yeah,
What's
I'm gonna
the title? Do you have a working title?
Working title right now is Hover. I did
cool.
file for a trademark for it, but my lawyer did tell me that it's likely that there's a chance I might not get it because it's such a common word.
Yeah.
Which is
We
a
ran
funny
into
thing.
something similar.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting thing because if you don't know, there's a game called Mycelia about mushrooms. Funny thing about it, there are actually 2 games named Mycelia. I think there actually might be 3. I'm not sure. So there are a lot of Mycelias out there. So I'm like, wait, does a trademark even matter at this rate? I don't know. I backed one Mycelia, then got an ad for another Mycelia, then went to PAX and saw another Mycelia. I'm like, what is going on here? But okay, yeah. But going back into talking about like putting yourself out there, as much as there is going to be like you're going to get trashed in the comments, like what I would pull things back on, like the whole point of this funnel of like the ads is not to just hear about the comments, but to see where people vote with their dollar. Because in the end, if you got people giving you that dollar, they're putting their money where their mouth is. They're not even in the comments. That's more of a sign that there's demand for your game than anything that's even in the comments. Because the comments are just people commenting. It's like, are you actually going to do anything about it? People may show like, you may get like maybe 10 hate comments in your like Facebook, like in your ad, but then maybe you have like 100 like VIPs. It's like, and this ad has shown to 1,000, like 10,000 people. It's like, okay, cool. Of 10,000 people, you got 10 people that hate it. You got 100 people or like 200 people that love it and are willing to give you the money down, and you got a thousand people that just don't care. So like
Yeah.
that's the power of the ad is you can actually see you can measure the real reaction. Where are people actually voting for? Where are they actually putting their money down? And who are the people that are just out there just patrolling around? Like just because, like, I don't know, for whatever reason they think it's a good use of their time to just trash on a complete stranger, and their, like, their creation. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Oh,
just something to keep
totally.
in mind. It goes both ways.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like something that I often have heard through other creative, pursuits is like, when I hear people interviewed, like comedians or people like that, they often say there's no reason to read the comments or there's not very little reason to read the comments because for every 500 good things people say about you, it only takes one negative, negative comment for it just to erase everything and for all that, support to just not even matter. But yeah, I think just follow the data is I think the launch boom method, this dollar reservation. I think it just made complete sense to Danny and I when we heard this method when it was pitched to us. We should disclose we are on the launch boom system, on the launch boom
Yep.
path. We probably should have said that up front, but I think we've been pretty vocal about launch boom in the past, and some of the best friends that we've made in the game industry have come from launch boom and the school boards that y'all run there. It's almost like just getting into that is enough to like make it to fill your social calendar for any convention you go to. You're going to have too many people to talk to. But I did want
I
to
would say real quick
Yeah.
on the topic of launch boom, because I think a lot of people, wonder why, like why partner with launch boom. And launch boom answered for us a very important question that we had spent a lot of time trying to find the answer to beforehand, which is when will it be time to launch the campaign? Right. So everything we're talking about here with the reservation funnel and all the analytics that LaunchBoom provides, that was finally the answer to, okay, we can measure buying intent. We can mathematically demonstrate viability. And for us, given how much we're investing in this game and what Joel said at the top of the show, you get one shot at this a lot of times. Understanding that there really was a market ready for us was key. And LaunchBoom provided that. And so that was number one. And number two, one of the really cool things that we didn't know getting into LaunchBoom, Joel mentioned school. There's something special. There's a lot of board game forums out there where you can interact with people, but there's something special about being in a room full of people who are committed enough to actually have, enrolled in this system. Everyone is very, very serious. Everyone's working. Everyone is about the same spot as you are in the process, and everyone is very, very committed. And having a cohort of people who are that invested in the process and what they're doing is immensely powerful. They always talk about surrounding yourself with people who, do what you want to do. Like, this is the best group of people you could surround yourself if you're trying to launch a game, like bar none. So anyway, off the soapbox.
I love our community. Our community is
Absolutely.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. I love you guys. I love
Thank
having
you.
you guys
Well,
there.
thanks, Victor. We love you too.
Yeah. I need to check in a little bit more often on school. It can be a little tough with my delivery driving job and as the day job. Now, we did talk about, the negative comments, and we have talked about the dollar reservation funnel system. It's a very good system we believe in, but there have been some detractors recently online, and I know that you've been kind of combating almost like this propaganda negative press campaign out there, people claiming that the dollar reservation is some form of scam or something. I don't know the ins and outs of it completely, but I wanted to ask you how LaunchBoom is I guess tackling this information campaign, this false information or fake information campaign, however you would want to dress it up.
Yeah, I think it's a bit much to call it like a campaign against us.
Okay.
I do think, yeah. I mean, I appreciate the sympathy of it. But I do think it is a reaction to. I'm not exactly too sure. I'm still the arguments presented to me in the videos that were made and from the comments that we have read still don't make too much sense to me. I've thought about it a lot for months.
Yeah.
I have thought about it a lot in my sleep and stuff. I have questioned myself again and again and again to be like, is what they're saying true? What are they saying? So the arguments is that from what I understand, I think there was an emotional reaction when people see that you're asking for $1 for a game, and this has particularly come with games that are on the medium to heavier side. I would say it's particular for games that are targeted towards like heavier gamers that I've noticed this. But there has been like this reaction of like this feels like a slimy marketing tactic for like using their exact words. And I think some of it might come from like just this idea of like, how dare you ask me for money right now?
Yeah.
And I think there was also some misunderstandings of like refundability, because there are other people essentially copying our system. There are other people that are not our clients that were using our system, but then using it kind of in their own way. So then I think one creator had it where it wasn't refundable. It was $1 was not refundable. And that was, I think, causing some stir, because they're like, you're just taking your money at this rate. And I was like, well, like we actually recommend that you make it refundable, because the idea isn't to actually just collect $1. The idea is to just get that market viability. I think there was like an aspect of just not people, like, I think backers don't understand how much creators go through. I don't think people understand the risk that creators really go to just launch a campaign. I think the idea of Kickstarter is when you launch, that's when the work begins. And like the money that you raise, that's like the money that's you're using to then put into making the game. But they don't see that, like, yeah, you've already spent thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on your game before you launch. They also don't realize that for them to give you their email, like, how did they know about the game in the first place? Well, you have to pay for marketing, whether that's through an ad, going to a convention, going through an influencer, or just even the process of making organic content yourself. You're paying with your time, you're paying with, design, the like all of that stuff, the prototypes and all that. So then that's every aspect of marketing, there's a cost to it, and I don't think people are understanding that to get that purchase intent is so necessary, because then the risk is so high. If you're just collecting an email and you're spending all this time, all this money to collect an email that doesn't convert, well, that's a huge risk, and that's like the difference between whether a campaign succeeds or fails. If you don't have a good day one, it's going to be an uphill battle, if not a complete flop of a campaign. And that's just the reality of crowdfunding now. It's not, it's not 2012, 2013 where you could just throw something on Kickstarter and then just see the numbers go up. There's a lot of effort you got to put into it, and you got to have a good day one. And so I think there's just this, I think people have gotten used to, they have an idea of what crowdfunding is in their head, and this did not align with that. And then this was kind of a reaction to it. At least that's my perception of it. And so what we've been trying to do is just educate people a lot more. Now, there are still dissenters, because they still think they're still dissenters. But we're just hoping that a little bit more of that education can create some empathy for creators. And so people can understand, like, yes, this $1, it's only $1, guys. It's only $1.
Refundable.
It's a refundable $1. Not only that, you're getting a bonus item for that $1. And I think people have this idea of like, but what about, like, it's like you're preying on my FOMO. It's like, you don't have to put it down. Like, if you could still back the game without putting $1. Yes. The $1 is for the creator to know just how many people are like super fans, like just rabidly like I want this game right now. If you're like on the fence about this, if you see something you're on the fence, you're like, I'll think about it. You don't have to put the $1 down. And I'm pretty sure if you contact the creator later on, be like, hey, I kind of want to just get that bonus item for $1. Like, they'll gladly add it in for you. Like, it's $1. It's like, it's not that much of a difference. And that's something that you could do. And then a lot of them are also offering it as an add-on later on, so you could do that anyways. So, yeah, we're hoping that with this, we can create a little bit more empathy and understanding. And with that, this reaction, they have understanding to kind of understand like what this is for, and have less of like an emotional reaction, because it like is misaligning with what their expectations are with what a crowdfunding campaign should be. or at least a pre-launch campaign should be. That's my take on it. I don't know if it's fully accurate to how other people are feeling. I acknowledge that they are feeling kind of like it. It may like I can understand like I'm not gonna like say like, hey, you're not feeling like I don't know what I'm saying there. But like I do like acknowledge that they feel a certain way about it, and I don't want to discount that. But then like what I'm just trying to do is like help, like, hey, like we're not trying to scam you. Like we're not trying to do it. It's not a marketing tactic to like.
If you knew how much money that we pay for that $1, you would understand pretty quickly that it's not. It would be a very bad scam.
It's not like anything to do that. I think some people were calling it like a what's the thing? It's called it's like a psychology thing called.
You mentioned FOMO earlier.
Yeah, it's sunk cost fallacy. So then some people are claiming a sunk cost fallacy. They're like, if I put money down now, I'm going to feel like I have to back later. It's like, it's refundable. It's $1. Yes. If you have, like, everyone has sunk cost fallacy. Like, everyone has that. Like, I get sunk cost fallacy. You don't, like, it's a refundable $1. Like it mitigates that psychology, like, and also like it mitigates that feeling a little bit, and also like being aware of it also allows you to understand that you don't need to jump into it. But if you have issues with if you're struggling with sunk cost fallacy, like with the sunk cost of $1 forcing you to put down like $40, $49 for a game, then like you probably should stop buying games for a little bit. Is my thought. Yeah. Because that's like I was like I'm kind of like I would want to talk to you as a person to person and be like, hey, like let's talk about budgeting. Let's talk about like how your relationship with money is right now. Like you don't need the game. There are plenty of like have your friend maybe buy it. There are other board games like that you can play. Like I don't want your money if you can't afford the game. Like that's like not what this is about. This is more about like if you really want the game and you can afford it, then you can put down $1, you get something extra for it. But we're gonna make sure that you know the price of the game before you put the $1 down. We're gonna make sure that like if you want to back out, you can always refund it. And so that way you know what you're getting yourself into before you're going into it. It's not like a trick where it's like, hey, put that $1 now. All right, now let's go into like now you have the background campaign.
Ooh,
it's like no, it's really exactly. It's like no, it's not. It's not about that. I really like. I don't want people to pay for something they can't afford. That's the last thing I want.
100%.
I really like this is just to measure purchase intent. This is just to measure market demand. And this is to help the creator get a higher efficiency for their marketing and be able to predict that before they launch, so that way they can launch with more confidence, with more certainty, and have a higher success rate and build a business that's sustainable. Because Kickstarter is not the business. Kickstarter is a way to start the business. Build a business that they can sustain it, so that Joel can stop delivering as a day job and can just focus on making more awesome games.
Please, 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 please. No, I looking back at what you said, I mean, I think a key thing there might actually be, and if you're balking at the $1, were you that interested in the game in the first place? Is maybe one of my questions. I have a feeling that most of the time when people like kind of scoff at the $1, it's because it's $1 for a game. They were already like, well, I would never buy this, and now you're asking me for $1. What? Come on. And it's like, yeah, because you weren't going to buy it. The system is to filter you out. If anything, it's to attract, it's to attract the people or make the people who want to pay that $1, who would buy the game, stick to the campaign and get them invested in it early, and give the creators confidence to go to market, to go to Kickstarter, and to know when it's time to do that. Because like you said, you can't just press the launch campaign on Kickstarter and be like, okay, guys, time to start telling everybody about this. It's like, we have to.
Bad idea.
Yes, very. In fact, Laya said that she did that. She made that mistake with her first Kickstarter back a decade ago, where she was trying to get a documentary kickstarted, and they barely made it over the finish line because they set up the Kickstarter first and launched it first, and then started telling everybody about it. And she got very very wise and very thrifty with her second campaign, which was had an amazing story to it. You can go back a few episodes to Laya's episode. She is amazing. Her kickstarted game Kelp was also a Launch Boom success story. I believe it's a 7-figure Kickstarter.
For sure.
Yeah.
1.4 million, I think.
1.4, 1.5, yeah.
Oh, I'm sure you have a few of those numbers tattooed on the back of your eyelids, Victor. We should ask you, what I mean for both for games and non-games. I'm sure we could go to Launch Boom's site, but what, in your personal opinion, what are some of your favorite success stories? You gave us the Giving Gloves earlier.
Yeah. Okay, my favorite success stories. Oh man, Giver is definitely one of them because man, that was he bet his house on us and
he bet the farm
paid off, and he bet the farm. He bet the farm,
mm-hmm.
and now he's a hero. It was like a full hero's journey, and he is just like the coolest guy too. Like he's super nice, down to earth, and like just seeing him succeed in the way that he did just like always warms my heart. The other one is Dusty, actually Bonnie. So I know you guys just talked to him. Like I love Dusty. I love Amy and Dusty. Sure. I love their story. I love just like, coming in. They came in with this like, they're like, can we even hit our MLQ? Like, can we even do that? And they blew everything out of the water, and broke everyone's expectations. Because like I think if you were to before their launch, if they were go to anyone, any publishing company, anyone, and be like, hey, we're making a game about flowers in the Victorian era. Here it is. Mm-hmm. No one would be like, yes, that's a winner. Everyone would be like, what the hell is this? No one would put their money on them. But, mm-hmm. they went themselves, and they're like they believed in it. They believed in their targeting, and followed our system to a T. And that was, it's just them two. It's just Dusty and Amy. That was it. Mm-hmm. And they raised $1 million. That is, and now they shipped an awesome game. I have it. It looks absolutely beautiful. My wife and my sister-in-law love it. They have another game coming up soon, LaFleur. It's going to be awesome. I played it. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Can't wait to
and
play
that's definitely like looking very promising. They essentially have a board game business now, and now Dusty and Amy get to do what they actually like. They love doing the most. Like Dusty is a huge game nerd, so like now he gets to make games for a living. Huge game nerd, and so
amongst other
like
things.
They can have a sustainable business. They can make a living doing what they love, doing their ichigai. Making beautiful games, beautiful fun games for a light crowd. Bonnie's not for everyone, but like they're making games for an audience that otherwise would not be playing games. Like would not be in this industry at all. Like would not be in this market. They're expanding the board game markets. They're able to create a sustainable business and completely change their lives or like as a result, and do what they love, what they're good at, and like essentially and benefits like all the people that bought the game and the industry itself. And so that's a story that I absolutely love as well. Those two are definitely like my top favorites. The other ones, Neckhammock was a fun one. So I don't know if you've seen this on Facebook. They have a lot of knockoffs now, but Neckhammock it's like this device to help with neck pain. You hang it on your door and it like pulls. It does like cervical traction or something. When we first saw the product, we were like, "There's no way this is gonna be anything." Like we were like we were doubting it. Like launch, but like I was doubting it. I'm like, "What the heck is this thing?" And then we ran the test. We ran the ads, and then it was like, "Oh my gosh, this thing's gonna be a $1 million campaign."
You offer people pain relief. You offer them a solution to their problem, the thing that annoys them every day, and they're going to at least listen. They're at least going to be interested. I'm already looking at this and thinking of a few people in my life that I could recommend this for.
I think TikTok would love that.
Yeah, it did well. It did well. He ended up selling the company. I believe he sold it. And so he had a good exit. So that was a great one. Backblade's another one. That's a fun one. That's a back shaver. Matt was just a lot of fun to work with. We got an animatronic gorilla for the video for that. So that was a lot of fun to work with.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because then this whole thing was like, don't be a gorilla, shave your own back. So that was a lot of fun. And honestly, I'm really excited about just a lot of the games that we're about to launch. Like Kelp was a lot of fun, but I'm seeing like a lot more coming in. Like Floral Dragons is gonna launch next week. That looks really cool. It's like I believe it's a 5th edition supplement. And it features like dragons made like based off of real flowers. I'm like, that's super cool.
I love that idea.
Crooked Moon, Legends of Adventurous, that was a really cool story too, because like here's like these group of guys that just play D&D together. They stream it and then they decide to make their own supplements, and follow our advice. Spencer crushed that campaign with them, and they're just really nice guys. Like just really, really cool, nice guys, really down to earth. Just love D&D. They just love playing the game, like telling these stories, and now they get to like really, really take it to the next level where they're providing stories for other people, not just to watch, but to experience themselves. So that's like, big ones like that, but then also like small ones. I think there was like a cyberpunk graphic novel that we helped launch. They raised like $20,000, but it was just cool to see them like just to see that rise, like to be like, now they launched their second volume. They're about to launch their next volume, but they essentially like they went from having nothing to essentially having a following now, to getting their art, their graphic novel, their stories out there, and that's really cool. Like I just love seeing that happen. I love seeing people get their products out there, even if it's like not a big campaign, even if it's a small one. Like I like $20,000 is nothing to glance over. That was a lot of work. Zbeck was another one. Like they raised like $50,000 with their campaign, and then after that, we at that time we actually helped with e-commerce. So we helped them with their e-commerce, and then helped them scale to making about like $10 million a year. So
wow.
Now the founder gets to travel around the world, like travel in his like little van, like living it up. But his life has completely changed, and I think a lot of people are benefiting from his product as well. So it's just like this amazing, in my head, this win-win-win-win-win, where the creator wins, but then the customers win because they're actually solving a problem or getting something that's just extreme value to them. And then we get to also win as well because we have awesome clients that have awesome stories, and that also helps with their marketing. So,
well, every win is like just proves the Launch Boom formula, the Launch Boom method, and they just all it grows like trees. I mean, like I'm sure we heard about you because I forget exactly how we heard about you, but it came
Ori.
to us. Ori,
Ori
that's
and
right.
Kagan and
Ori.
Nicole at the same time.
Yeah, like basically 3 people, like just in us going out there and being like, what do we need to do for our game? What we need to market it? And as we started talking to the people who knew something about marketing, they kept your company kept coming up time and time again. And so, it spreads like that. And that's like, talk about making a company that sells. I mean, it's like make a company that sells itself just based on its reputation. It's like, I never saw an advertisement specifically for Launch Boom, but people had something to say about it. The word of mouth is definitely there.
It's awesome.
100%.
Well, thank you.
Well, okay.
Thank you to Ori and thank you to Nicole.
For sure.
I love them both.
Oh yeah.
They're incredible.
They're great people, amazing people.
So obviously we talked about one like touchy, controversial, situation. We can't let you go without talking about at least one more. I think that's the rules of podcasting. So as we live in the era of AI right now, and to the point where Danny doesn't even he doesn't even Google anymore. He just asks ChatGPT his questions and gets the answers through ChatGPT. Isn't that quick button on your new iPhone set to talk to ChatGPT?
I set the action button on the iPhone 15 to just open a voice chat with ChatGPT 4. And it's good. Although sometimes I accidentally engage her and don't know it, and then I'll just be having a conversation, and she'll be like, it seems like you're having some confusion around maternal nicknames. And I'll be like, what? What are we talking about here?
Oh man,
Oh, that's amazing.
that's so funny. That's too
so
funny.
so all this AI has a lot of uses that you can use it for. Like early in our process, we openly admit that we used was it Midjourney to create temporary artwork so we could make our prototype decks look closer to the final product. And I know a lot of people out there are using Chat GPT to write copy for them. I was just curious from, you have a little bit, like we had a very like close up view of like what we were using our AI for. And when we decided to stop using it and to move to, and to change our approach in the journey. But from your like more like higher view, like 1,000-yard view, what are some of your takeaways about the use of AI in generating assets for games, copy for advertisements, everything like that? I mean, I know it's a huge question, but just like kind of an overview of what you're thinking about it and how your company might be using it right now, if at all.
Yeah, that is a great question. It is also a question where my personal views on AI is different from my company's view on AI.
Okay.
So Launchboom, we are incorporating AI. So we do have within our system, not just ChatGPT prompts now. We used to we had engineers and prompts to help you produce actually good copy using ChatGPT because for a while it was definitely lacking. It still could use some work right now, but it's probably going to improve drastically. But then we have essentially a integration with our funnel builder with AI, so then you can now just input like a form, input answers to a form that we supply for you, and then that will help spit out essentially all your ad copy. I believe we're working on the landing page copy one. That might still be a ChatGPT prompt, but then that's coming up soon. But then essentially spit out all your copy for you, pre-built, all that stuff. Good to go. Or at least give you ideas on how you can frame your product so that you can work with that copy, edit it to how is like actually accurate to your product, to your game, or just edit it to make it a little better. But it gives you a stronger base at least to work with and choices to work with instead of trying to come up with something on the spot. So I think AI in that use is really powerful. It's not just powerful. I think it's very helpful. It's very helpful for a lot of creators, especially a lot of like solo creators, where they have to do everything themselves. You're not a copywriter. You're not an artist. You're not an illustrator. You just need a lot of help, and you don't have the money to afford that help. And so using AI in that way, I think is it's very powerful. It's very helpful, and there's nothing really stopping you from doing it, and everyone else is kind of doing it too. So there's like an aspect of that where it's like, even if you don't agree with it, the reality is like you kind of have to learn it, kind of to keep up with the times. And then it does give you a good base. Like I do think it's a really strong tool for you to use as a base for copy, and I would recommend that you do use it because especially if you don't have that background, because it'll give you just a better start in general. In terms of images, because I know that's the big controversy right now. It's okay, AI generated images for games. Art is expensive. Illustrators are super expensive.
Yes.
Designers are expensive. All of this is cost on cost on cost for creators, and we just talked about how much time and energy and cost a creator has to put in to make the game a reality. I think there's a line, there's a balancing act that needs to be played here, where if you're starting out and you're using AI, I think I'm not gonna trash you for using AI. I'm I understand why it's there. It's a good tool. It's available. And AI does generate some really good art if you know how to use it correctly. And honestly, if you can't afford an illustrator and you know how to operate with it, then go for it, because it is a tool that's available now. Pandora's box has been open. And if you're not using it, then I do think there's essentially, if you're not using it, or at least trying to use it, I think or playing around with it, there is essentially a setback that you're putting yourself into. and just know that that's what you're doing. Like that, know that that's the what you're kind of setting yourself up for. Whereas like you're taking on the risk of not using AI, as like, and that is essentially a risk because you're not using a tool that's available for you. Now, in terms of my personal views, like my personal views on this, my wife studied illustration as a major.
Yes.
She is trained. She spent many years training that art and even like that skill set. And we're both artists essentially, like art. We both studied art, and so we have spent many years, many hours honing in our skills, whether it's writing, photography, illustration, painting. And every illustrator out there, every designer out there that you're hiring, the reason why they're so expensive is because they have put thousands of hours behind that 1 hour of work.
Yes.
I think it was, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I believe it was Picasso that said, like, someone had asked him to sketch something out. And he's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You sketch it. And they're like, and he gave it, and they're like, dude, that took you like 1 minute. And he's like, that 1 minute is like, that didn't take me 1 minute. That took me like 10 years. Or like, you know, so it's like the culmination of that led to that efficiency that is him. That is like that 1 minute of work. And I think that's something that a lot of people lose track of, lose value of. And that's my biggest concern with AI is that it's only going to propagate that even more where people devalue arts. And that's my biggest concern and gripe about AI is not necessarily the use of it in this way, but then the public perception of art will just continue to decrease its value.
Yeah, I definitely have, you know, that I hope that it kind of comes full circle where it's like, because people do say there's an uncanny valleyness to AI. I think there's a funniness to AI when it's done right, that it can, you know, can be comedic, but you know, I don't think anybody's ever going to want to hang it on their wall. I don't think it's ever going to produce something that actually has like, you know, it's, you know, like, you know, tiptoeing around this, but, you know, social, you know, like social relevance, but, you know, just by itself, not without the context of a video around it or somebody, you know, talking about it in some way. But I do see what you're saying. I also, that thing you said about Picasso, that was perfect. And it reminded me of a person that, you know, basically said that one of her friends said, hey, can't you just do this thing on Photoshop for me really quick? It'll only take you like 7 minutes. And she's like, yeah, it's only takes me 7 minutes because I've been studying Photoshop for 5 years. It's like, yeah, that payment, or what you're paying these people for is the fact that they've dedicated themselves to honing that one skill that you don't want to do, that you don't either have the talent or the patience to do. And they did, and they honed it. And you're not paying for them for their time right now. You're paying them for everything that has led them to this moment. And you do bring up a great point about how much an art thing could cost. Not to plug our own game here, but I'm going to take the opportunity to, you know, plug X Seekers of Fortune. This is our first prototype that we've gotten back from a printer, not the final printer. But what, Danny, how much would you say this box cost us, if you can say? I mean, like, how much would you be willing to divulge? Like,
what do you mean, like the prototype being produced?
No,
in
no,
terms
I mean
of the amount of hours that we put into it.
Hours that we put into it, our, you know, payments that we made to the illustrators of the cards, and to the designer, all that. Like, how much does this box, this box cost?
$60,000 maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, it was not cheap getting to this point.
And that versus the original prototypes that we made that we went to Comic Palooza with was what, maybe $1,000 and all in, not counting our time and effort.
Right. Yeah. I mean, certainly using AI. I mean, art is expensive, and I mean, as Victor alluded to, I think it's a major barrier to entry for a lot of people. My stance is, if you're using it for prototyping it, or you're doing something small scale, you're not trying to launch a full blown business, I think go for it, right? Like, it's cool to be creative. I think at the point at which you're trying to commercialize something that can scale and show up on store shelves and really become a business, I think not only do you want to make sure that artists have sort of some equity in the production of that product, but also, like, as we see more and more AI, it all kind of feels the same, right? And like, it loses character. And I think in the long run, people are going to start to realize that they appreciate art that they can tell humans made. I think, like, I actually see it as a differentiation. yes, it's a risk in this day and age when someone can literally produce a bunch of art and not spend a dime on it, to spend tens of thousands of dollars producing art. But ultimately, we're betting that people can tell the difference and that they want to support actual artists and being part of the process. And I think gamers really respond to that. I did want to ask a very specific question that kind of dovetails with this.
Yeah.
I think with the creation and the advent of AI images, we're seeing more and more, especially card games, coming to market. You see them like every single day. I see like 5 new card games being advertised on Facebook. And the majority of them clearly have AI art, and you can tell that somewhat, and they all kind of have that similar sort of AI look where if you just start to look at the details, they all get a little fuzzy, and it's like, how many fingers are there? Does this line really connect to anything? How do you think this is going to shape and affect the crowdfunding landscape with all these new entrants trying to get their products off the ground? Now that they feel like, okay, cool, maybe the barrier to entry was having something that looked like a real product. Because I think for a lot of people, game art is what makes something look real in their mind. And so now I think we will say we would not be here without the initial AI getting us to the point where we could show investors, hey, look, we can put together something that looks good, and them giving us the money to like put it into the hands of real illustrators and give us something that was real. With all these new entrants into the market, how do you see this affecting crowdfunding in general? Like, what impact do you see it having on Kickstarter in general?
We'll have to see. Because I think what's okay, like what will probably happen is there might be more creators. There might be more just volume of stuff being put out there. And what that might mean is just more competition, but then also a blindness to like that particular style of art or a particular style of any art. And I think of AI art, I think in general. And you might just need to push, like you just gotta be a little bit more creative to know how to stand out, or actually start investing in art direction and uniformity of it all. One thing that I've noticed with just board game art in general is I do think that in general, like generally speaking, there are a lot of games that do this really well. But generally speaking, I've seen like a lack of cohesive art direction at times. And I think that's something that people don't, that's another thing that has not been valued very much, is like, they're like, oh, just get an illustrator to do this, get a designer to do this, all this stuff. But like, how does it all work together? How does the art tell your story together? Does the art style, do they match? Do they complement each other? Is it cohesive? My wife and I, as we were developing Hover, like even before that, we were looking at board games and we were like, okay, what is a game? Like conceptually thinking about it. In our heads, we're like, this is interactable art. This is playable art. Like in the end, like that's what we love about board games. What we love about the games that we have is like they're absolutely beautiful. Like parks, you're like experiencing that park in this awesome like art form. And then, but not only is it like a piece of art, like maybe you hang it like art you hang on a wall or something like that, but it's like this is something you get to interact with. This is something you get to experience in a different way. And so in our head, like a board game is the perfect form of, or like a very strong form of interactable art. But then if you are not thinking about art direction in your interactable art, it's like, okay, cool, there goes, in my head, there goes like a huge part of the appeal of it. Now, you can have a great game without great art. I've played plenty of games with terrible art, and a great game by itself. But I do think there is something that is tremendously powerful about a game that has that aspect dialed. It's like not only do you have the mechanics dialed, but you have every aspect of like your art and your art direction dialed in. And I think people will, I think so, and I'm hoping that backers and people will be able to see that, tell that, and put their money towards, vote with their dollars on those things. And then those that just use AI art for just the sake of getting something out there, kind of like a money grab. I'm like, usually anyone that does that, in my head, like what I've seen is that they just kind of fall to the wayside. Any quick money grab thing falls to the wayside. Anything that's truly original, or like not truly, I won't say truly original, I would say something where there's just been a lot of thought and care put into something, generally speaking, I've seen do really well. People respond to that because there's something about it that has soul, has spirit that I think resonates with people at that level.
I love it. I think that's exactly what people need to hear.
Yeah, 100%. I felt like there was a thought that I had during that entire thing about art in general, but I'm losing it right now. But ultimately, I agree. It's like, AI art, especially the longer that's out there, will start just flattening, looking the same, losing any sign of originality that it'll have. And I think Danny's correct. It's like, at a certain point, people will just gravitate towards handmade art from illustrators, real people.
I mean, what I kind of see it. Okay, I see it how digital art has become now. So I think like when digital art first came out, I was like, oh, so easy. You could just do it on a computer. You get undos and stuff like that.
Yes.
And it's like it all kind of look the same. Just go on what's that site? DeviantArt. You just go on DeviantArt. That's where it all is.
Yeah.
But I think nowadays, it has like there are definitely like a very strong aesthetic for a certain type of digital art.
Yes.
But then there's also evolution of how you can express it, and then the skills, the thought process, the theory of like a normal, like a physical painting that has remained, that translates into digital art really well. It actually does. Translates really well. With AI art, what I can see it is like it is a tool. I don't see it like I see a blend of it, like using it as a tool, finding creative ways to use it, and then mixing it in with your medium. Because what AI art does is it just develops stuff for you. What it is lacking is the theory of the art, the cohesiveness of the direction, the cohesiveness of the creative aspect of it, and also just the ideas itself, and then how that's executed. So I do think that if you can build all that, like I could see a future where it is used as a tool to complement alongside your natural skill sets of art, and then like putting that all together to create something that's pretty epic and awesome. Where it's not fully AI and it's not fully hand illustrated or like an artist, but is a complementary aspect of both. And I think that would be an ideal world where that happens, rather than the replacement of people with AI.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be one of those situations where the talent always rises to the top and rises past whatever you wanted to call it, that flattening effect, that like everything looks the same. The talented people don't look the same; they look different, and maybe the talented people who know how to interweave AI generation images into their own illustrations and kind of make some sort of digital mix of it all will start really standing out in the crowd. But that's definitely something to be seen, and we're going to have to look into the future to see it all. And before we start wrapping up here, Victor, I did just want to ask if you had anything, any next steps for Launch Boom as a company that you could disclose, things that you're looking at on the horizon that you're really excited about, where the company's trying to go, and that sort of thing.
There are a few things in the pipeline. I'm not sure.
If you can say nothing,
to disclose it right now. We do have something exciting with Kickstarter happening.
Okay.
Can't talk beyond this, I think.
Okay.
We have something exciting with that.
When
we
have
more AI tools.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah, we have more. That is, we're in process. Let's just say we're in process right now. We're in process of that. We're also developing, talking about AI. We are developing more AI tools. Again, we do see this as a very strong tool that can help a lot of creators out. So we're also working on that a bit more. I'm personally developing a lot of updates to our games program. So that'll be fun to help to make it a lot more streamlined for y'all to just get your ads going sooner, get your metrics coming faster, so that way you can learn sooner and make a call, make an educated call much quicker. But all in all, I think a lot of what we offer will stay the same. We are, to make it very clear, we are not an agency anymore. We provide essentially consulting services through and help you walk you through our program. So we give you our full system. We give you tech tools, like we give you software essentially to help you go through and get your reservation funnel up live. Give you analytics tools to just kind of double down on like that on your tracking. We're not double down to just make sure that you have a backup for a lot of the tracking that you need. And then we're providing a lot of supports to kind of walk you through that system and also make sure that you are getting not getting the results, that make sure that you understand what you're doing, what that means for your business, what that means for your launch, what that means for your game, and make sure that when you come out of our system, it's not just a successful launch, it is also a successful business. It is the ability, knowledge, and skills that you would need to continue to run your business in a sustainable and profitable manner, so that way you can continue to make awesome games way down into the future.
Oh, yeah. We're already trying to cook up game number 2 ourselves, and hopefully game number 3 here in the near future. Now, I'm really excited to work work towards my Kickstarter campaign with Launch Boom. Danny feels the same way, and we can't wait to see where this all goes in the future. If we'll be there, but we'll probably be there with y'all. Campaign 2, campaign 3, up until the point where we no longer have to run Kickstarter campaigns, and we have that strong business and that strong distribution. So thank you so much, Victor, for building this company and also for taking your time today to be with us. So let's really quickly, Danny's going to run you through our lightning round of overrated and underrated. Danny, do you want to explain this to Victor?
Sure. So this segment, this is the second time ever. So very, very new. It's called 8 to Rate, underrated or overrated lightning round. We're going to give you 8 things to rate, and your job will be to tell us if each thing is either under or overrated, and briefly, why. Are you ready?
Okay. So I say underrated or overrated. That's all I need to say, right? I'm not giving them a number. It's just like...
Yeah, just underrated or overrated,
okay,
and then just like a quick one sentence why you think so. Okay.
Oh my gosh,
Here
the pressure's on.
All right, number 1, ChatGPT.
Neutral. It is exactly how it should be rated.
Okay.
Appropriately rated. Okay. Another software here. You're either gonna have an opinion of this one or not, but I think you use it. So, Front as a email management system.
What is this? Front. I don't know about this actually.
Okay. Well, then we'll skip that one. I'll add another one. San Diego, I think, is overrated. I live here. Okay, why?
I think it's overrated. I don't know. I feel like it's once you live here for a bit, it gets a little cold. It makes you weak. There's better food. There are some. We're getting better food now. It's too expensive. I think that's the issue. That's the main issue. It's too expensive.
That's always
everything about it is great, except overrated. The price is just. And then I think there's better food in LA. So.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, here's another one. Ales,
like beer.
Mm-hmm. Like Red Trolley. Yeah.
Underrated.
Okay, why?
Drink more ales.
Well, I think
more.
I'm just going to say IPAs kind of blew up the scene, and like ales, people aren't as excited about them, even though I think they're the better beer.
Yeah, right. IPAs are kind of overrated in my opinion. Ales are awesome.
Yeah, there we go. Traveling for work, underrated or overrated?
Oh man, traveling for work, I think, is overrated. I think you don't get to enjoy where you get to go when you travel for work. Remote work, however, I think is still underrated. I think people don't understand how to remote work yet. We've been doing it for a long time. We did it before COVID. We've been doing it since like 2017. It is amazing. It is. We 100%. Are significantly more productive. We are significantly less. Like it's just, I will not trade it back. I will not go back.
All right, here we go. TikTok.
TikTok. Oh my gosh, TikTok. I can't. I don't know. I don't know about TikTok. TikTok is both. TikTok is neutral. I hate using neutral. Like it is not overrated. It is not underrated. It is exactly what people. Yeah, it is. It is an amazing piece of software. It is a great platform for what it tries to do. Now, in terms of the health of the people using it, it is absolutely trash. And so that is TikTok, you know? So it is exactly what it is. It does a good job doing what it's trying to do. It does an amazing job at it. And in terms of using it for the purposes of discovery, for the purposes of putting content out there, and being an influencer, it is amazing at that. In terms of using it, interface, experience, it is great. But in terms of using it for the sake of your life, it is not recommended. Like
Not recommended.
It is better that it never existed in the first place for humanity, is my opinion on it. And I have people in my team that will disagree with me because they love TikTok. But it is exactly, that's why I'm like, is it underrated? No. It's like, yeah, is it overrated? No, because it's great at what it does. Is the question about like whether or not is it good or not? That is a different question.
I think you could say it's a creator's platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the viewers, people that consume TikTok is like I think I understand why. It's a very addictive platform. It's like very very addictive. They really nailed it down. I don't think, I'm going to age myself by saying this. I prefer YouTube because that's my age range.
Yeah, me too.
There we go.
I'm a YouTube
This is
guy.
on YouTube right now.
Yes.
So,
Please, YouTube algorithm, show us some mercy.
starting a company.
Starting a company is, I'm going to say it. It's overrated. Starting a company is a lot of work. It is not all the glory that people think it is. It is not you make it big and rich that people think it is. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of heartache. It is a lot of sacrifice. And sometimes it doesn't pay off. A lot of times it doesn't pay off. But also I would like to caveat with that, it is also extremely rewarding. But I do think at least my understanding of the current public perception of entrepreneurship is that I think there's just too much glitz and glamour to it. But like not enough of the real substance of like the fulfillment and the satisfaction of creating and owning your own thing and kind of having that control over your own life. I think that is underrated. I think all the glitz, glamour, like tech entrepreneur, like high exits, all that stuff, I think that's extremely overrated. So, yeah.
Okay.
Two more here. David Attenborough.
David Attenborough, underrated. He can always. David Attenborough can always receive more accolades.
There you go. I agree.
Yes.
All right. Last one. Shooting on film.
Oh, that's a good one. That is underrated.
Okay.
I think even still today, I think it's underrated. I think the more I see film, the more I see works that are shot on film, whether it's like a photograph or an actual film, the more I appreciate it. It is absolutely beautiful. It is different. It's not just like a filter you throw on. There's something different and alive about it. Something I did not understand when I was in school, that my film professor will always be like, that image is dead. That digital image, there's no life to it. I'm like, what are you talking about? Now that I see more films, I'm like, oh, I see it. I understand what they're talking about, and it's hard to describe. So yeah, definitely underrated.
There's a magic. Awesome. Well, that's it. 8 to rate. You did it.
Yeah. Victor, you're
You
coming
survived
in.
the lightning round.
Yeah, you're coming into home
Awesome.
stretch. Now, Danny, we just had a really great conversation with Victor, and I have to ask, what was your key takeaway about what Victor had to say today?
Yeah, I'd sum it up as really finding that right balance between data and soul, right? Like on the one hand, you want to have a good command of what's actually happening out in the world and determining how to measure that. And then you want to ask the right questions, find the ways that you can collect the data that will answer those, and then pivot your strategy according to what the signals you're receiving are. I think that's really important. I think it's part of the reason why Launch Boom is so important is it provides people who are trying to launch a campaign a means to collect data, ask those questions, validate them, and measure their progress when they pivot. But I think also the soul side of it comes in where you actually want to put yourself into your product. You really want to make sure that you're not just trying to do a cash grab. You're really trying to be intentional about what you're putting out into the world. In the craftsmanship. So I think finding that right balance of data and soul is kind of my main takeaway from this conversation.
Yeah, I agree completely. And it's like the thing that, you have to kind of swallow your own pride, your own preconceived notions, and just follow along with what the people are telling you. And that's how you know if your product is ready to go to crowdfunding or not. But yeah, well, viewers at home, that has been our main conversation with Victor. We got a little bit more to do with him here at the end, but before we get there, I do have a little favor to ask of you. As Victor said, he's a YouTube guy. I am also a YouTube person. I'm hoping you are too, and you're watching this on YouTube, because if you are, why don't you take a little glance down, past the video, just right down there. You see the thumb? Please give us a like. It's so rewarding to give us a like because you get a little confetti explosion right there in the video. You will just, glow with joy seeing that little explosion. Oh, you see it right now. See, didn't it bring a light to your eyes? You're looking great. You know that? Well, while you're looking great, why don't you just take a little walk over to the subscribe button. It's just right next to it, and you're not going to want to miss our next episodes. We already have ourselves booked up for the next, I think like 5 to 8 guests ahead of, down the line. So we know they're all going to be bangers. You're going to want to hear about them right when they come out. So first, this is a 2-step process. You first have to hit that subscribe button. Easy enough. You did it. Thank you so much. Did you get your teeth whitened? They're just glistening right now. But you're not done yet, because you want to hear that dinner bell ringing right when our episode is hot and ready for you to view. So go ahead and hit that bell icon. And boy, wasn't that wonderful. Now you've done it all. And I think you've lost some weight along the way. But not everybody is a YouTube viewer. Some of your friends out there might be podcast listeners, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or their own podcatcher. Well, you just have to tell them to look up the Mega Moth Studios super secret podcast. So simple to remember and to say, and to just copy and paste into a text message to your friend right now who you think should be listening to the show, and get them to subscribe to our show wherever they love to subscribe to podcasts. If you do all that, boy, I think you're just ready to add a year to your life. Danny, was there anything I missed in all of that, or do you think that covers the bases?
No, I mean, that was about as insufferable as you've ever been doing that. So
Okay.
Congratulations on upping the ante.
Well, Danny, I think it's that time of the show again. It's time for you to hit us with something random.
All right. Well, this something random, like it has been the last few weeks, is going to be another pop quiz.
Oh,
Joel, you haven't been doing great at these, so hopefully this week you'll be doing a little better.
I wish I should have asked you that so I could have grabbed my writing implement. I guess let me go grab that really fast.
All right. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to ask a question, and then you'll write down your answer, and then Victor, you'll show your answer, then Joel will show his answer, and I will tell you who's got it right, who's got it wrong. There's going to be 8 questions, and then whoever has the most right at the end will win. And we'll see how it goes. So this week's pop quiz theme is, in keeping with our Launch Boom theme, unusual product launch events. So I'm going to describe a question about a product launch, maybe a little bit strange one, and then you're going to have to answer the associated question. We'll see how we do. Okay. All right?
Yes.
Oh, man.
All right. Number 1. In 2013, which fast food chain created a buzz by launching a limited edition sunscreen that smelled like fried chicken? In 2013, which fast food chain created a buzz by launching a limited edition sunscreen that smelled like fried chicken?
Are you sure they created a buzz or just a little like vibration? Because I do not recall this at all.
I don't recall this at all.
Let you lock in your fried chicken sunscreen related answers. And
Which fast food fried chicken chain would be this stupid? Let's see. I have too much respect for that one. I'm gonna put this one down.
Okay. Alrighty.
all right, Victor, what you got?
I'm just gonna put KFC because then, yeah, they don't make good chicken.
KFC. You're both right. In 2016, KFC introduced a limited edition sunscreen called Extra Crispy Sunscreen, which purportedly smelled like fried chicken. The bizarre marketing stunt aimed to promote their extra crispy chicken recipe. All 3,000 free bottles were claimed within 2 hours of launch.
Probably why we didn't hear about it. Yeah.
Very, very. So not stupid. Very smart.
All right, so we're 1-1.
Okay.
And question number 2.
Yeah.
Which tech company faced significant backlash and safety concerns over its wearable tech product, leading to its discontinuation? I'll read it again. Which tech company faced significant backlash and safety concerns over its wearable tech product, leading to its discontinuation?
All right. I am ready.
I'm ready too, I
Victor,
think. Yeah.
what do you got?
I put Google. I think
Okay.
It was
Google
the
Glass.
Yeah.
All right. Google Glass, launched in 2013, faced privacy concerns and public backlash over its ability to record videos discreetly, leading to its discontinuation for consumer use. Google Glass marked an early foray into augmented reality technologies, but it is still used in specialized industries like manufacturing and healthcare. You each got it. We are now tied 2-2. All right, question number 3. Here we go. In 2016, which luxury fashion brand partnered with a tech company to launch a $9,000 smartwatch? In 2016, which luxury fashion brand partnered with a tech company to launch a $9,000 smartwatch? I'm going to give you a bonus point if you can get the tech company as well as the fashion company.
Okay.
What year was this? What year is it?
This was in 2016.
Might have gotten eclipsed by other things in the news that year. All right.
Okay. All right. We're going to give Victor just another minute.
All right. I'm just gonna run with it. I don't.
Yeah. I'm in. Trust me, we're in the same boat.
All right. What do you got, Victor?
Gucci and Apple. I think it was
Gucci and Apple. And what do you got, Joel?
I went with Omega and Fitbit.
Okay. So the answer is luxury watchmaker Tag Heuer collaborated with Google and Intel.
Oh, I thought you. Oh, I completely misheard the question. I thought you said luxury brand, so not luxury watchwear.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Gotcha.
Could you say the brand again?
It's Tag. I don't know how to pronounce the last part.
Tag Heuer?
Do you know?
Tag Heuer? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
But
Tag
I know the brand.
Okay,
Yeah.
I do not.
Yep. So with Google and Intel to create a smartwatch, it was priced around $1,500. It was one of the first times a luxury watchmaker ventured into the smartwatch space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that $1,500. I don't know if hopefully their cost wasn't $9,000. That would be crazy.
No, probably not. It's probably a lot
All right.
more.
Here we go.
All right.
A famous soda company once launched a clear version of its flagship product in the 90s. What was it called?
Oh,
A famous soda company once launched a clear version of its flagship product in the 90s. What was it called?
I have no idea.
if I had known that it would be short-lived, I would have drank some, so I could say I did.
I think
I
Joel,
drank a lot of it.
A clear version of the product.
I liked it. All right, we're still 2-2.
I have no idea. I really have no idea. Oh gosh, 90s. I'm just gonna make something up.
Good.
All right.
All right, what do you got?
Let's do it.
Victor?
I'm gonna say Mountain Dew Ice. I don't know. I feel like that would be a thing.
I feel
That
like
would be a thing. I think that's cool.
I think that would be the spiked Mountain Dew. You know, it reminds me of Bud Ice for some reason. I believe I should be right. Crystal Pepsi.
Launched in 1992, Crystal Pepsi was a clear cola marketed as caffeine pure alternative to regular colas.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was.
My first
I
guess
loved
was
it.
Pepsi Clear. I was like, Pepsi Clear sounds like a product. I could see it in the shelf,
Yeah.
but then I don't know. So it was Crystal Pepsi.
Yes.
That's
Crystal
good.
Pepsi. All right. Joel, it took the lead 2-3, but there are still 4 questions to go. So here we go. Which company released the Virtual Boy, a 3D gaming console that ended up being a commercial failure due to its discomfort and lack of color? Which company released the Virtual Boy, a 3D gaming console that ended up being a commercial failure due to its discomfort and lack of color?
Oh man, I think Joel's got this one.
Oh, you
Can
better
see the
believe it.
confidence in it. No, I do not have this one. I'm not that deep.
I was I was a 90s kid with a like who was marketed to relentlessly. I remember all these things, or these past two, clear as day.
All right, Virtual Boy. I'm just gonna.
All right, what do you got, Victor?
I don't know. I'm guessing Atari. I'm not sure.
Atari, okay. And Joel, what do you
I don't
got?
know.
I got the correct answer, which is Nintendo.
Nintendo. Gotcha.
Okay. Here we
I
go.
could write an. I think I could write an essay about the Virtual Boy with all the, osmosis culturally I've got from it.
Was that the predecessor to the Game Boy then?
No, it was, if anything, it was the sequel to the Game Boy. It was a very, how should I say? It was like a compromised product through and through. It was supposed to be like something you wear on your face, like a virtual reality system, but they made it to where you had to like stand it on a table, and it was 3D. But the depth was accomplished through red light, so you were looking at red light that was like burning your eyes, so people couldn't play it for too long. Yeah, it was like
That sounds terrible.
started as like a good idea, and like just compromise after compromise, it eventually made it into a failure.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
In 1995, it was one of the first consoles to offer a 3D gaming experience. However, its monochrome display, high price, and discomfort caused by prolonged use led to its failure, making it one of Nintendo's only flops.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We are close to the end. So it is 2-4. We still have time to catch up here, so let's see how it goes.
Yes.
Joel is notorious for failing in the final few questions dramatically, so we'll see.
He's pulling ahead right now, so let's see.
I'm clutch, Danny. I'm clutch. I know I got this one.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. All right. In an attempt to merge digital media with physical product launches, which company introduced a DVD player that could also bake pizzas?
Okay. This one I was asleep at the wheel for.
What? Oh my gosh.
So now I'm like, is it a DVD manufacturer or a pizza manufacturer?
An attempt
my
to
goodness.
merge
Let's
digital
see.
media with physical product launches, which company introduced a DVD player that could also bake pizzas?
These are some crazy, crazy launches.
Yeah, he definitely not lying. This will be good clip material. Play along at home. Write down your answers. Be honest about it. Leave them in the comments. Let's see.
I have no clue.
I know. I'm right there with you. I'm just going to put down. When in doubt. Okay.
Let's see. I feel like they wouldn't do that. Would they sign off on it? I don't know. They might sign off on it. My gosh, who would sign off on something like this? I have no freaking clue. Let's do Toshiba.
Toshiba.
That's funny because that was the other company. That's like the one I was like, if it's not Sony,
Yeah,
it's
I was
Toshiba.
like Sony, Toshiba. I was like, Sony. I feel like Sony wouldn't sign off on something like this, but who knows? Maybe they did in the 90s.
If it's DiGiorno,
Or
I'm walking off a
2000s.
cliff.
No, it is Pizza Hut.
Ah,
So
It's Pizza Hut. It was of course. Oh man.
yeah, they apparently made an attempt here.
we forget how far Pizza Hut has fallen It used to truly be the
Used
king
to
of
be.
pizzas.
It used to be the king. They've fallen quite far.
Yes.
All right. So here we go. Which company? This is question 7. So we are tied 2-4. And it is, just as a reminder, very, very possible for Joel to earn negative points. So
Hey, what?
just
I don't
keep
remember
that in
that.
mind. Which company launched shoes with an integrated electronic device that could track your steps and communicate with your smartphone long before smartwatches became mainstream? Which company launched shoes which could integrate which company launched shoes with an integrated electronic device that could track your steps and communicate with your smartphone long before smartwatches became mainstream?
I'm sure I'm
think
wrong
I
on
have
this
this.
one.
I think I remember this, but I might be wrong. I feel like that's like all of these answers that I've given.
Exactly.
All right. What do you got, Victor?
I'm putting Nike.
Okay.
Well,
And
we
Joel?
either rise or fall together because I also put Nike.
All right. You both got it.
Yes.
It is 3-5.
They had it in like their free runners or whatever. Like they had it in some of their shoes. It was like a tracking device, I think, that you put in your shoe.
I was working at Target at the time in the electronics department. I just remember that, having that thing, I forget exactly what it was, but yeah, it was like just an integrated system, and it would be a pedometer. I forgot that it was in the shoe. I thought it was something you attached to the shoe.
It says Nike Plush running shoes introduced in 2006 featured a built-in pocket under the insole for a sensor that could communicate with the user's iPod. The collaboration with Apple allowed runners to track their performance directly from their iPod, blending fitness and technology and entertainment. All right, last one. It is 3-5, but as I've mentioned, Joel has a track record of losing points in the final round. So let's see how he does here. In 1998, which company introduced a robotic pet that became an international craze despite the limited abilities to interact? 1998, which company introduced a robotic pet that became an international craze despite its limited abilities to interact?
I remember the pet. I don't remember. Wait, what was the year again?
1998.
Oh. Yeah. I'll just say.
And I will accept either the company name or the product name for this one.
Okay.
Okay.
You don't need to have the company name. The product name is satisfactory for this answer.
All right. Well, I put down both,
Okay.
Oh wow.
but they're
Overachiever.
guesses. They're guesses.
Extra credit.
Yeah, which will hurt him more. Victor, what do you have?
Tamagotchis? I'm assuming?
Tamagotchis. Okay. And what do you got, Joel?
Okay. I put down Furby, and I put down that it was made by Hasbro. If I were to guess.
The answer is Furby, but the company was Tiger Electronics, not Hasbro. So that's -5 points.
God.
Joel.
No,
I got it wrong though. I got it completely wrong. No,
I will not let this tyranny stand,
No,
Danny.
no, I got it completely wrong. Furbies are definitely. I totally forgot about Furbies. I thought it was electronic pet, but yeah, I guess it's a robot.
So Joel technically wins 3-6 with his highly subsidized score. Not.
Joel
thank
crushed
you,
me.
Victor,
Good
for
job,
joining
Joel.
us for this product quiz.
Yeah, I did. That was. Oh man, so many things that I didn't know about or just completely forgot about.
That's what I get for browsing the news while everybody else is, doing actual work and building companies. I was just, checking Reddit, seeing these headlines.
There you go. You too could answer quizzes very, very well if you only spent all your time on Reddit.
All right. Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for the quiz, Danny. That was actually a really exciting one, very enlightening. I hope people at home, I hope you learned something from it. In fact, if you did learn something from it, leave it in a comment below.
Crystal Pepsi.
Yeah.
Pepsi was the thing.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It came back. They brought it back recently.
Oh, I guess I didn't realize that it came back. I would have maybe tried to find some. Actually, I wouldn't have. I would have probably rolled my eyes. What am I kidding?
Joel's hunting for the Crystal Pepsi and
Yeah.
then the KFC sunscreen, and he's gonna, throw that all into the Pizza Hut DVD player.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
I'm going to just take that all down to the watering hole out here and have myself a nice afternoon. But if folks at home, if you have Crystal Pepsi, DM me. I'll send you my address. You can send it to me.
Also Furbies. I heard he's into them.
Yes.
He's really into Furbies.
For sure. Okay, so that's basically been our episode. Victor, I want to ask you really quick, where do you want to be found, or what would you like to plug right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you are thinking about launching a Kickstarter or Indiegogo or a crowdfunding campaign, go and visit launchboom.com. It doesn't have to be a game. It could be any product, essentially. Visit launchboom.com and book a call with one of our team members.
Excellent. Yeah, that call was that first call was like a big, crucial, life-changing moment for Danny and myself for like the direction that we were taking X Seekers of Fortune. Danny, is there any announcements that we want to put out there? Anything off the top of your head?
Nothing that we're ready to announce imminently, but we probably will have some in-person events and some announcements about con appearances here in the forthcoming weeks to stay tuned for. I guess we can say we will definitely be at Comic Palooza in Houston at the end of May, but there will be a couple other things being added to the calendar before then.
Yeah. Be on the lookout for that. We'll probably in the next episode tease that out. And also, you see all those social medias on the side of the YouTube video. Go to one of those, and we'll probably make the announcements there. So just be on the lookout. All right. Well, thank you so much, Victor, for joining us, and thank you so much for creating Launch Boom. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate your time. Danny, it's been fun having you here as well. So this has been Victor. This has been Danny. I've been Joel, reminding you that you must start somewhere. So why not here? Theme music by James Hilden, produced and edited by William Wymore.
I hope Joel's never left alone with a Furby.